Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson. I really appreciate the opportunity that I have to talk to you a little bit about Anna and her progress in her class, and you taking the time to listen and to evaluate with me some of the things that might be helpful for her. To start, I just want you to know that Anna is a great student. We love having her in her class. She's bright, she learns well, she follows instructions. When other students are left out or when they need a friend, she's happy to jump in. She's willing to work really hard, and she's got a great attitude towards school in general. And we really love having her in our class. So thanks for giving us a great girl. So part of why I wanted to have this conference was to talk specifically about Anna's literacy in the classroom. And so to prepare for this conference, I gave Anna a series of assessments. And they all kind of evaluated a different aspect of Anna's literacy. So the first one that I gave her had to do with just her self-concept or her self-confidence considering literacy and her general beliefs about literacy. And so it asked her questions like whether or not she felt she was a good reader and what makes a reader a good reader. And it's called the Burke Reading Inventory. And on a scale from 1 to 5, Anna rated herself as a 5 as a reader, which is awesome. Because the more that students feel like good readers, the more that they're going to want to read. And so the fact that Anna has that positive self-concept is great news. I also gave her some really simple assessments that test her ability to read a book correctly, hold a book correctly, knowing the purpose of sentences versus words and periods and capital letters. And she passed that with flying colors. She got a 19 out of 20 on that. Or sorry, a 15 out of 16 out on that. The only thing she wasn't familiar with was a comma, which I think is something that hasn't been explicitly taught to her yet. So she has the foundational basics down. I also gave her something called a running record assessment, and I can actually show you an example of one of those. But a running record is just when students, this is what it looks like, but a running record, you can see these check marks. We put a check for each thing that the student gets correct, and then we make notes of things that they mess up on as they read, so that we can get a feel for what they struggle with and what they are succeeding in. And then I also gave her some basic comprehension tests and asked her questions about stories that she read to see how much of what she's reading she's understanding. And I also took the time to evaluate her writing and just take samples from her and see if she's on par with writing and what she could maybe use some help with. So there are a few other assessments, but those are the major ones that we're going to talk about today. So through these assessments, I was able to kind of get an idea of Anna's strengths and some things that she is having some troubles with. And so Anna has a lot of strength. She's totally on grade level with concepts of print, and that's those words versus sentences and those kinds of skills. She's progressing steadily in her reading levels, and so when I first started working with her at the beginning of practicum, she was reading at a C level, and now then she's at a D level. So just in 1 month, she had bumped up a whole level. The fact that she sees herself as a good reader is a huge strength for her and will lead to a lot of growth. I also noticed that she has really good monitoring strategies. I can show you here on this reading record, or running record, that she has several mistakes, but as you look, every time there's an SC, that means that Anna's self-corrected, which means that Anna is watching for when she knows that she's making a mistake. She goes back, she reads it again, double checks, sounds it out, and then makes it make sense. And so she's using those monitoring strategies, which is really great news. She also has really clear handwriting. And I'll show you an example of that really quickly here. See, all of her letters face the right direction for the most part, and they follow rules of which line they're supposed to go to and size as well. She also showed good comprehension when it came to retelling stories, particularly when prompted. And with texts that she's already read, she had really good fluency with those texts, which shows that the rereading is helping her and helping her to get better with her fluency. So in terms of specific things that we want to talk about, she is at a D level, and with books that she's read more than once, she read them with almost perfect accuracy in reading. And another thing that we noticed was that she got 41 out of 45 on this test, which is a test that checks for phonemic awareness, and it allows her to use invented spelling. And so I have just a couple suggestions for how we can keep progress going on those two specific strengths that she has. And so the first is invented spelling is letting students use whatever letters represent the sounds in the words. And so rather than making them rewrite things or check every word that they spell, we allow them to practice just their awareness of sounds and how they match up with letters and do the best they can with their writing. And this is shown in studies to help promote even better spelling and writing in the future grades. And so in school, we try to give her as many opportunities as we can to do this, but one suggestion is to make sure that every single day in school she has an opportunity to practice writing with this invented spelling. And that's something that we're trying to do now in school, but that we'll continue to do and try to make sure, especially that Anna has that opportunity so that she can continue to improve that awareness of sounds and her ability to attach letters to sounds. And that will help her both in her writing and in her reading. And another suggestion, and this one is for at home, is to have her continue to reread the text that she has. When I did the Burke Reading Inventory, Anna talked about how at home right now you have her doing a program where each day or each week she gets a new book and then she reads that book every day throughout the week. And my suggestion would absolutely be to continue that with Anna, as that rereading helps her to gain that fluency, which is what we saw in the one reading record we looked at for the book that she had read several times, and how she was able to read it quickly and with almost complete accuracy. And so as she rereads those texts with that program that you've been giving her, where she starts a book each week and reads it every day, she talked to me about how that's one of the main ways that she's been able to improve in reading. And so I'd say being really, really consistent with that program and helping her to reread those texts is one major suggestion that will help her to succeed in reading, so that she can continue to improve with that fluency. As far as Anna's needs, she's really doing very well, but there are a few things. There's a lot of things that we want to help her with, and so I'll list just a couple of those, and then we'll focus more specifically on a few. She is doing well with decoding, but her decoding is a little bit slow, and so we want to give her more time of practicing that decoding so that she can just get faster and she can read harder texts with more confidence. Another thing that we would like to work on is comprehension. When I did comprehension texts with Anna, I did several, and one of them two of them, I had her read to herself, and then afterwards I would ask her questions about them. And she did really well when I asked her specific questions, such as what happened in the beginning, or what happened in the middle, what happened in the end, or if I asked her specific questions that had to do with that particular text. She was able to answer them, which is great. It's a huge strength. But I did notice that without specific prompting, she had a harder time retelling the text, and she'd tell it a little bit out of order, or she'd say things that were less important and miss things that were more important in the text. And so one suggestion that I have for that is at home, when she does those at-home readings, is taking the time to ask her those comprehension questions, such as what happened at the beginning, or what happened in the middle, and then over time asking her less specific questions and just inviting her to retell it to you. At home, I think that practice will help her to practice looking at the big ideas of a text and then providing relevant details, which is a hard concept for a first grader, but since she has the basics underneath that, I think that is her next step. And then the other thing that I noticed was that she has a hard time, particularly with inferencing, which again is a harder skill for a first grader. But when I asked her questions such as, why do you think the author wrote this text? She said, I don't know. And so just starting to get her to think about those types of comprehension questions, those questions outside of the direct knowledge that happens in the text when she's reading, I think would be a great thing to help her at home, and we'll be trying to do more of that at school as well. We also plan on trying to teach Anna explicit comprehension strategies in the classroom. This is something that, and I'll give you the link for this, but Put Reading First is a document that was created to help with literacy, and there it talks about the importance of teaching students specific comprehension strategies so that they know what to do when they don't understand, or they know what to do when they're losing track of a reading. And so in school, we're going to try to teach them those skills, such as, do I understand what's going on? Asking themselves those types of questions to continue to increase that comprehension for Anna. But yeah, we think she's doing wonderfully. Kind of in summary, Anna is doing really well with basic skills such as handwriting, concepts of print. She knows how to become a better reader, and she has really good self-concept, or really good confidence concerning reading. And so the only things that we want to work on is we want to help her to increase that fluency by helping her to reread text when she's at home. And we'll continue working on that in school as well. And then we want to help her with comprehension. And that can happen really easily at home, as you're already helping her do those repeated readings, just asking her some relevant questions about the books that she reads. And I think that that will be all the progress that she needs for this year. And we'll meet towards the end of the year and talk again about how she's doing and what we can do to improve her literacy. But I appreciate you taking the time to talk about her literacy and to coordinate a little bit as parent-teacher. Thank you.